Hello again. Thank you for coming back to my channel for another video. We're once again filming outside here at my home in Pattaya in Thailand. For those that have been following my channel, you'll know that I'm now retired, and despite having some minor health issues, I'm thoroughly enjoying my retirement here in Pattaya in Thailand. Now, the reasons for me enjoying it so much are probably fairly obvious, and they're also pretty numerous, but the main ones let me just cover. Firstly, I have to thank my wife for supporting me and really, even in the last few months, really giving me more assistance than I could ever possibly ask for in keep worrying about me and keeping me on the straight and narrow, so to speak, with not over exercising and not getting myself into troubles with falling over and things like that, which I've done on several occasions, unfortunately. But let me tell you a little bit about my wife, first of all. I met her many years ago at a birthday party, I think it was actually, and we just at the party, we just got to know each other just as people. We were all talking and laughing, telling jokes, and that's the way it was, and that's where I first met her. Now, it continued like that, just friends for a long time, actually. And at that time, when we met, she was working as a roommate in a large upmarket hotel in the north of Pattaya, which was built by Chinese people and predominantly for Chinese people. And it was a very luxurious hotel. And that's where she was working. Myself, I was working all over the place. I was in Nigeria and Africa and New Guinea and Cameroon in Africa. All very much places that are not very nice to really working, and you have to be pretty careful when you are in these sort of places. I was also working in Saudi a little bit, and also quite extensively in Europe. All of this was done in the oil industry. Now, to facilitate me being able to come to Thailand regularly and stay in Pattaya and leave my things here and just travel light when I traveled, I bought a small townhouse in the city centre, close to the city centre in Pattaya Thai, actually, very close to the third road crossover there, for those who know it, very close to there. And I bought this 2-bedroom townhouse, and that changed things a lot. It made life a lot easier for me. But I also, at that time, my son, who's in the UK, he used to come out as well, and he used to stay there. So I needed somebody to look after the house when I was away, and I ended up asking my wife, to have a set of keys and to take care of the house. And she did that very well, actually. And I think that is where the relationship started to develop after I got this house, and she was looking after it. And then when I came back, we would go out and have drinks and blah blah blah, and something to eat and blah blah blah. And you can imagine how these things develop. And when it came round to 2015, and I was coming up for retirement, and my last major project was in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and it was on a large semi-submersible oil rig, updates, repairs, and etc. And that was to be my last project before I retired. So what I'd done was I actually asked Em if she'd like to come to Holland, in the Netherlands, for a holiday, and she very much jumped at the chance. So we got a visa fairly easily, much more easy getting a visa for the Netherlands than it is for the UK, I can tell you that. We got her a visa for the Netherlands, and she flew out from Bangkok and came to join me in Rotterdam. And we had, I think it was about 4 weeks holiday there, and I've got to say that from all the places in the world I visited, which is most places at different times, that holiday was the best holiday I think I've ever had, and we thoroughly enjoyed touring around the Netherlands to all the different cities, etc. Even though I had to work each day for a certain period, just preparing for this rig to come, and I had about 2 or 3 months doing all the preparations for this rig to come in from the North Sea for its repairs. So half a day working and half a day holidaying around the Netherlands worked very, very well for us. And our time down in Amsterdam and things like that, we had the large ships, these sail ships, they came in and we went and visited all them. It was an absolute wonderful time and we thoroughly enjoyed it. So eventually I went back and I carried on with the project. Now this leads me on to the most significant, the second most significant aspect of my happy retirement here, and that is the fact that from that first holiday that we had together in Rotterdam, my daughter Sandra was conceived. Now this is something that definitely was not planned for my retirement, and it came as a real bit of a shock, and actually with some concerns as well, because obviously my retirement funds are limited, and although I had savings, etc., it did concern me a little about bringing up a child in retirement for many aspects, as you can guess. I wanted a kind of quiet life and a quiet time and just enjoy my retirement. I didn't really see how a baby could come into this vision that I had for a nice quiet retirement. What disappeared out the window was a nice quiet retirement, because my daughter came along, and what a wonderful, wonderful thing that was to have happened, and it's made my retirement very, very enjoyable. My small family here, my wife and daughter, and we moved house before my retirement. I gave that 2-bedroomed house in Pattaya. I gave that to my son for his own use, and I bought another house outside Pattaya, and it's better facilities, nicer garden, bigger. Because we also, both myself and Em, we love animals, and we have dogs. We got 4 dogs, as most people will know, and we've also got our parrot, which today I've locked in the house to stop her coming out and climbing all over me while I'm making this video. So that is the main reason I'm enjoying my retirement. You know, my nature is I've always been a little bit of a loner because of the jobs I've done. Even when I was in the Navy and we used to go to different ports, I'd like to go out by myself and a lot of the time and just find out more about the places, try the food and blah, blah, blah. I didn't like going out in big groups. I never have liked that. So I've always been a little bit of a loner. So working in various countries all over the world and being myself has never been a problem. It never really bothered me at all. So that helped me adapt, I think, to my retirement here in Thailand. And that's what today's video is about. I just want to cover some personal aspects for you to consider how it would affect you if you've got plans to retire here to Thailand, or particularly Pattaya, and how these aspects that I think are important might affect you and how you might react to them. It might make the decision easier or harder whether to retire here or not. So let's have a look at them. And the first one I'd like to cover, which is kind of low level really, but it's surprising how many people take exception to it, and that's being called a Farang. When you come here and you're walking around and you're mixing with Thai people, and you hear this term coming out, Farang, Farang, and you think, well, I hear that a lot. What does it refer to? Well, Actually, it refers to you. It refers to me because we're white-skinned and we're obviously not Thai, so we're Farangs. The term Farang itself comes from Frenchman. A Farang set is a Frenchman, and it's been adapted to apply to all Westerners, and even down to some Japanese and things like that. They know are obviously not looking like Thai. They're all known as Farangs. You get used to it. But as I say, it's surprising actually how many people take exception to the term Farang, and you need to be aware of it and just let it go over your shoulders, because Thai people are lovely people. They're very friendly. They don't mean anything bad about what they say. It's not a problem. Just accept the term Farang. A big key point I do want to talk about, and I see it happen a lot here, and it creates big problems, really does. And it's something that stemmed from the Farangs, the Westerners, the expats that are settled here, and that's anger control. You know, I don't understand why people get so upset. They know they've come to Thailand. It belongs to Thai people. They're a different culture. But a lot of people cannot accept that things happen differently here than the way things happen in their own home countries. And they get terribly upset about it, and somebody not reacting quick enough to a question or not understanding what they're saying, even though they're speaking a different language to what the Thai people speak, and then they get upset that the Thai people don't understand what they're trying to say. Anger control is a big thing here, and it can get you into some very big embarrassing situations. If you're prone to losing your temper easily, shouting at people, and I know lots of people here that live here that do get themselves into big trouble regularly because they can't zip their mouths instead of shouting off when they lose their temper. You know, I think I've been in most countries in the world, and the thing that surprises me here in Thailand is when you go to Pattaya downtown when the weekends, it's mobbed, the traffic, it's terrible. Or you go up to Bangkok and you see all these major highways chock-a-block with traffic. You know what? You never hear the horns, beep, 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 beep. You know, you go to Rotterdam or Barcelona or Paris or these places, the horns are going all the time. Move, get out my way, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't happen here. It doesn't happen here in Thailand. You know, people just accept if it's taking time, it's taking time. And if near accidents happen, they'll probably react with a smile as opposed to being angry. So anger control is a big aspect. And I seriously suggest that you consider this. How is your temper control? How do you easily lose it? If you do, and you tend to react to these sort of problems quickly and not violently, but in an active manner, then you might definitely need to consider whether Thailand is going to be a country for you, because in this country, Thailand, it's just not acceptable, and that's the way it is. So a very good one to really consider. Now, okay, the next subject is health. You know, a lot of guys come over here and they retire in their early 50s. You get people that come over even younger and want to retire, although they can't actually retire on a retirement visa, then they find ways to stay here. But health is a big aspect. Now, the normal retiree that's coming out here, maybe in his early 60s to his early 70s, they might feel good when they're getting here. But you know, it's almost without exception that as we get old, we develop our own specific problems to the way that we've lived our life in the past. And health is a very real thing here in Thailand. If you're going to come here, I strongly suggest you get the necessary vaccinations, which are hepatitis A and hepatitis B, and also typhoid fever. So that's the three that you really should be considered getting. But you really need to consider your health. It's what are you leaving and where are you going? You know, it's if you already have some underlying health issues that you're concerned about, if you've had some heart problems or your immune system's down or aspects like that, or you find it difficult getting around, you know, just people in wheelchairs here, it's very, very difficult for them to get around. You know, a lot of the pavements, etc., they're either blocked by old telephone boxes or power cable stanchions or whatever. And getting around on a wheelchair is very, very difficult here in Pattaya anyway, and in Bangkok. I know most areas in Bangkok it can be very difficult just because of the volume of people, if for no other reason. But a lot of the pavements and pathways, they just don't add up to it. So it's not a country that's friendly for people that are losing their mobility, put it that way. Health, big issue. Consider it. Do you really want to come here? Because your problems will be accentuated if you have them when you come to Thailand. Now, let's just talk briefly about cultural issues, because there are several that a lot of foreigners find it hard to adapt to. You know, here in Thailand, things like shaking hands when you're meeting, etc., is not done so much. It's more like the clasping the hands, giving what we call a wa and sawadee kap, and that's their way of greeting each other, not by shaking hands. It doesn't run with their culture. If you're with a lady, things like holding hands or kissing in the street, etc., or showing signs of affection are not really accepted or enjoyed here in Thailand. People don't like shows of intimacy or affection in their daily life. This is something that should be kept at home in private, as far as a lot of Thais are concerned. Aspects like when you're going into people's houses, and even some shops, they ask you to remove your shoes and go in. If you go visiting the temples, you have to leave your shoes off before you go up into the temples. And you have to consider your dress as well when you're going to places like temples or formal areas. You've got to dress significantly as well. You know, like in a lot of temples, they insist that you wear long trousers, not shorts, and that women keep their shoulders covered, etc. So check on the dress codes and use them, because it's important, and it's important to show that you're trying to comply with the culture of the country. Now, a lot of guys coming here, like part of their retirement, they like to fill it up with gambling. Gambling, where I see it in Europe and the UK, it's a very popular pastime for retirees to maybe look at the horse racing that's on the day and have a bet on that, and have a bet on the football and things like that. Gambling is absolutely taboo here in Thailand. Even owning a pack of cards is illegal. You're not allowed to own a pack of cards. It's certainly illegal to sell cards, and manufacturing them is a real no, you don't do that. So saying that, you know, that a lot of my friends that I've seen have problems with their wives, and you see it in the bars as well, is that Thai women enjoy gambling, even for small amounts, but some of them for very significant amounts. And I've known ladies here that in Pattaya that end up owing out hundreds of thousands of bahts from the little secret gambling dens that they go to. Somebody's room, and they go in there and they start playing cards. And they can be in there for 1 or 2 days, for God's sake, gambling away and losing big. And a lot of these ladies are married to Farangs, expats, and it gets them it creates problems in the home front as well, where they start having to get money to pay off money that they owe to the gambling things. Just one very small story. Some years ago, I knew a friend. He's dead now, God bless him. His name was John. He used to go around the bars in the South Pattaya there. And his wife was a serious gambler. And twice he got contacted that wherever she was gambling had got raided by the police and she'd been arrested. And he had to go down to the police station and pay a fine to get her released. And the fines were significant, actually, not just a few baht. It was, there were thousands of baht to get them overlooked and released. And he'd done that twice. And then it happened a third time. When it happened the third time, he said, sod it. He said, I'm not paying her I'm not paying her fine to get her out again. And she went to prison for 3 months. And he sat there and he took care of himself for 3 months and let her stay there. He said it was going to teach her a lesson and perhaps it would stop her gambling. I don't know if it did or not, because after she got out, it wasn't long after that John passed away, actually. So I never really found out if her stay in prison had helped her or not. But this is the story here. Gambling, be aware. If you enjoy gambling, it's maybe not a country for you. Another big issue, and we've covered it briefly before, is language. You know, the majority of people that retire here in Thailand, they don't even make any effort to try and pick up the language or learn the basics of the language, because they think it's too difficult and they would never be able to learn it. Well, it is a difficult language to learn because it's very tonal and it's not easy for people that haven't been used to speaking in tonal ways. You know, one word can mean several things depending on the way it's said and the tone that is given when it's been said. And it's difficult. But, so saying, there's a lot of the very basics that, if you learn them, will endear you to a lot of the Thai people here. I'm talking about the basics, like being able to say thank you, hello, how much, being able to count in Thai, and little things like that that are very easily learned. And you've got time. If you're retired here, there is absolutely no way that you don't have time to learn the basics of the language. And if you do, it will absolutely endear you to the local Thais. I can assure you, it makes a big, big difference. Now, there you go. There's some basics for you to think about, and I think they're important, and you need to be aware of them. If you've decided to retire here, then it's quite likely that you've already visited Thailand before, maybe several times, and you've enjoyed the holidaying here, and that's what made you think, well, this is a country, beautiful weather, and that's another aspect, actually, but beautiful weather, and this is a country for me. But the weather here is hot, virtually always hot. We have heavy rain seasons as well, but it never gets cold. You're never ever going to see snow here, you know. And if you're not adapted to hot weather, many days here, for instance, in this last few months, the temperatures have been over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's very, very hot. It means you cannot go out walking about so easily. Everybody stays home, preferably stays in the shopping malls where the air conditioning is, etc., or the bars or the restaurants have got air conditioning. You depend on air conditioning here during the day to keep your sanity. If you're living outside the big cities and out in the province, etc., then you're still going to want air conditioning. It's very, very hot, and that's a problem. Something else to be considered. But anyway, going back to what I was saying about, so you've visited Thailand a few times, and you've been here and you've had some fantastic holidays, maybe met some nice people, etc., all the rest of it, and you think, okay, that's my destination. Maybe I'm going to go there. Maybe I'm going to go there and meet someone, and which will be very nice for my retirement as well. Get romantically involved, and all these sort of things make for a very pleasant life. But you've got to remember there's a difference between holiday mode and living mode. And it's a big, big difference. You know, when you're living here all the time, you're losing that area where you're going home for the most of the year. You're here for most of the year. And many things turn around, and you will start finding areas that annoy you, etc. And there's obviously a lot more, the aspects that I've covered just now, just your basic attitude and the way you are. But there is other things that can severely affect your retirement here, including relationships and weather and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to make a video about that very soon, and how maybe you can avoid these problems. Long distance relationships where you're sitting in the States or Australia or UK or wherever, and you're having some long distance relationship with some nice Thai lady, or maybe some nice Filipino lady or something like that, and you think it's all going very, very well, and this is your future. There can be problems, and I'm going to go into that in a future video. Anyway, enough said for today. I'd just like to say, consider what I'm saying, and if you're still deciding to go ahead and come out here for a retirement, then great. Be aware of the problems, and I personally wish you my best wishes for a very successful and happy retirement, similar to what I'm experiencing here, but hopefully without maybe the health issues that I'm undergoing at the moment. Thanks for watching. Speak soon.